Hi, it's Greg here from Flowering Spikes Records in Westlake Village, California. We sell a lot of classical albums from the golden era of classical, a lot of Deccas, RCAs, Mercuries, like this Sibelius II right here. We sell also a lot of jazz, which you can see, this is all the jazz right here. A lot of originals, first pressings, deep groove monos, that kind of stuff, and then reissues also. I don't sell any new records. Everything is used that came out of collections and big collections. So a lot of this classical came out of a few collections, like very big, kind of well-known audiophile guys. So always looking for collections of classical and jazz stuff. And then my own personal interests are more into kind of electronic stuff and ambient works and avant-garde material and stuff like that. And there's a little bit of rock music, but actually my friend was here, the first time he came here, he was like, usually you go to a record store and it's all rock music, and then there's like a couple little sections of like electronic or classical or something, and he's like, you have the complete opposite. Like you have the couple little bins of rock and roll, and then the rest of it's just all weird stuff. For like half of my life, I made records and toured and played in bands and stuff, so music has always been a part of my life, and so has sound. And then over the years, I started just recording my own solo records at home, you know, in Pro Tools or whatever, and just got more into that and more into sound and producing sound. And I wasn't into really high-end hi-fi gear and stuff like that till maybe 10 years ago, probably, you know. Like I had large record collections and I listened to records, but I just had little simple, you know, like a Marantz and an Audio-Technica or something, you know, kind of systems. And then I went for it.
Probably in session, we're in class.
Yes, exactly. Oh, look at this Geico car. I wanted to start with this. This is actually a series. I'm showing this one, but there's actually these two, and there's two more that are over in the shelves, but I didn't dig them all out. And this is Alva Noto and Ryuichi Sakamoto teaming up together to make this cycle of records. And I love Alva Noto, I love Ryuichi Sakamoto, but the work they do together is so beautiful. Like these records have like some of the deepest bass you will ever hear that Alva Noto makes, like just wall shaking, house shaking bass, and then just this really minimal, beautiful accompaniment from Ryuichi Sakamoto, mostly on piano and some synthesizers. Mostly electronic. This one right here is also with an orchestra, and they're playing very weird, almost like if Autechre wrote an orchestral composition. Stunning records, also incredible sound quality of them, some of the best sounding records I've ever heard. And these were also done pretty close to the end of Ryuichi Sakamoto's life, and so they're kind of a final hurrah for him, so to speak. But these records are just, all of them, incredible. This next one, this is Paavo Berglund with the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra. This is Sibelius Symphony No. 4. The Fourth Symphony by Sibelius is one of my favorite pieces of music ever written. It's just so heavy and melancholic and dramatic and dynamic and all of those things that I personally love in classical composition. And I love Sibelius so much, also Mahler, Bruckner. I love the Fourth Symphony is my favorite. It's not his most popular symphony, you know? Like I don't think many other people would be like, oh, I love the Fourth the best. But it just feels so good to me, and this is my favorite version, my favorite recording of it. This record, number 3, comes from Elian Radik, who is my favorite electronic musician, my favorite modern composer. I just think that her work, especially when it came out, just no one had ever made music that sounded like that. No one had ever used a synthesizer in the way that she uses the synthesizer. I think people had more Buklas and you had Morton Subotnick and these kinds of people with very like bloopy, everything moving around. But Elian Radik was the first person to really just make drones, like heavy, textured, layered drones that actually, if you pick all the notes apart from the cluster, it's really harmonically advanced and beautiful. And I think of it almost as like a symphonic work or a piece of composed music, but it's just so drawn out and so long. Like some of her pieces, my favorite piece by hers is 4 hours long. So you can't actually press it on vinyl, but it comes on like a triple CD or something. This is all from recordings from like the early 60s, I would say, or late 60s, early 70s were periods when she was working a lot. But this is a reissue that came out in 2018. So a lot of it wasn't pressed on vinyl, you know? But the other one I'm talking about that is called Trilogie de la Mort, and it's just epic. It's like one of the most epic pieces of music ever written. This is more like her earlier work, but same kind of vibe, just shorter pieces. This album, this is To Record Only Water. Is that what it, only? Yeah. This is To Record Only Water for 10 Days by John Frusciante. And this is, he made this record after he had gotten clean after many years of being whatever John was doing in that period, which we were all doing in the 90s. But, you know, I think John had, he had so much more money than the rest of us that I think he was just able to go further and deeper into just insane psychosis, you know? And then he got sober and he made this record, and it's just like a drum machine and a couple synthesizers and a little bit of guitar and him singing. And it's just like the rawest, most heartfelt, beautiful, kind of heartbreaking songs and music, you know, that he probably had been working on for some time and just couldn't pull it together enough maybe to record it all. And this is all recorded in his house, like on a digital recorder. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful record. And it just reminds me of that period. I think, you know, John had got sober before I got sober, but I was living in Hollywood in hotels and just getting high and whatever. And I would go to the Viper Room and I would see John and I would see Flea and I would see Bob Forrest and all these people I eventually played in bands with later on after I got sober again. But I would go there and I would be all fucked up and I would see them playing, and I remember John playing on acoustic guitar like a bunch of these tracks. And it was just so inspiring to me of like, I gotta get it together and like get back into the real world, you know? So this album in particular has always just held like a really special place to me. All right, and the last record, this is Death Church by Rudimentary Peni, which throughout the course of my life, many, many people have asked me what's the greatest rock album of all time, and it's absolutely Death Church by Rudimentary Peni. Some people will say, you know, Dark Side of the Moon or what, that's all wrong. It's Death Church by Rudimentary Peni. And so they were on Crass Records and they had put out like one record, I think, or a couple EPs. And Nick Blinko, the singer-songwriter who also does all of this artwork, which is absolutely incredible and mind-blowing, he was slowly going insane And then the bass player also, I think he got testicular cancer and he just thought he was gonna die. And so they were like, well, I'm gonna go crazy and you're gonna die. So let's just make the greatest album that's ever been made. And in my opinion, they did. And it's probably like 30 songs that are all like 2 minutes long, that are all just poetically so brilliant and poignant and just so simple. Like I know Kurt Cobain was like like everyone's been inspired by this record in one way or another, you know, just the simplicity and the stripped down nature of it all. And then like, look at this artwork. So I bought this record, I believe when it came out. There used to be a punk record store in Long Beach called Zed Records, and I remember I got it there. So there's this one. So it's all this like super fine cross-hatching like pen and ink stuff. And then he has all the lyrics in there. And then it opens up into this, like, look at that. And it's just like the craziest, most beautiful. Oh yeah, like we used to eat acid and listen to this record in like high school. I would just stare at this, you know, look at this drawing. So yeah, Death Church by Rudimentary Peni. Seeing right here, it says thanks to Crass. The greatest rock album ever made. And then this is my honorable. You can make it like go blah, 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 blah. This is my honorable mention of my other most favorite electronic musician, freak, genius, spiritual guru, space traveler, J.D. Emmanuel. And I had always loved his album Wizards, and can't remember the name of the other one. It was called Minimalist. I can see it has like a fiery sunset on the cover. But so this is all just kind of like outtakes. Like it's electronic minimal music, 1979 to 1983. And it's a double disc, and it has these cool inserts and stuff in there where you can like see his studio at home where he recorded all of this stuff. And he's got the Prophet Pro 1 right there, just onto the reel-to-reel machine. And these are just taken from those tapes, I guess, that he recorded. And this is all previously unreleased stuff that's just like the most beautiful, psychedelic, tranced out synth music, organ music ever.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. That was killer.